Hey, what's up you guys? Do you guys ever look at your paint and notice some very small and yellow and brown specks all over it? Well, today I'm going to show you guys what that is, what it does, and how to remove it. Alright guys, so before we get into any detailing, let's go ahead and just quickly talk about what that stuff actually is. So as you can imagine, whenever you wash your vehicle, you wash it, you dry it, and it looks great, but over time what happens is you get fine embedded contamination that sticks onto the surface of your vehicle. That stuff can come from a variety of factors such as industrial fallout, rail dust, and much more. So today we're going to be showing you guys just how easy it is to remove it. Let's get started. Alright guys, so to begin this process, we started off with a clean surface. So what we did is we washed the entire vehicle, we dried it up, we pulled it into the detail garage, and now we can go ahead and get started with the decontamination process. So right here you guys, we have our clay luber and our OG clay bar. Now depending on how bad contamination is on your vehicle, for example, if you have tons of those small little yellow and brown specks on your vehicle and your paint sounds extremely rough to the touch, then we would recommend going with the heavy clay bar. And then we also offer different grades such as our medium grade, our OG, which is a mixture between light and medium, and then light itself. Today's video, we're going to be using our OG clay bar just because it's a nice balance between a nice sticky clay bar and a nice smooth one. That way we can easily and effectively clay bar the vehicle with speed and efficiency. So right here, I have the OG clay bar. I'm going to go ahead and open this up real quick for you guys. So whenever you open up your clay bar, you're going to open it up like so. Then you're going to go ahead and pull it out. Now, one thing that you want to do whenever you pull it out is pull off the plastic sleeves. Do not use it with the plastic sleeves still on because it's not going to work as intended. So all you have to do is take them off. You can go ahead and peel those off very easily. And then another thing that you don't want to do is use this entire chunk. What you want to use from this block of clay bar is use a small portion of it. I like to cut it up in about a quarter piece. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut this up. I'm just going to pull it apart. If you have scissors and you want to go ahead and be more precise with it, by all means, knock yourself out. That's going to go ahead and work out great for me. And as you guys see, it's extremely stretchy, which means it's extremely sticky as well. Once you have your small piece, go ahead and put the rest of it into the packaging itself. The last thing that you want to do is use the entire block of clay bar, and then if you happen to drop it, it's going to pick up all the fine debris that's on the ground, and then if you were to go ahead and pick it up and use it back on your vehicle again, you're going to be scratching up your paint. So don't do that. Grab a small chunk at a time, and then just to stay clean and protected, we're going to go ahead and wear some gloves. That way we don't get the lubricant all over our hands, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a second. So you want to make sure you put your gloves on. And then with your clay bar, what you want to do now is you want to knead it into a small little patty. So you guys see right here, it's kind of like a little cube. What you want to do is spread it out into a nice little patty that you can kind of grab with your forefingers. I like to knead it out into about the size of 3 of my fingers, just because 3 fingers is going to be great so that you can easily hold it and not have to risk dropping it with, if you say you're using it with 1 finger or 2 fingers only, 3 fingers is going to be the perfect amount. And as you guys can see right here, show you guys right there, 3 fingers, sticks, and I even got into a nice little rectangle as well. But if it does come out circular, it's completely fine, so as long as you can go ahead and grab it easily. And now we're going to go ahead and grab our clay luber. Now clay luber is a synthetic lubricant, so this is going to go ahead and be sprayed all over the vehicle. And one thing I did forget to mention is that clay bar can not only be done on paint, but you can also do it on any smooth, glossy surface, including glass, headlights, wheels, mirrors, and so much more. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use it on paint just because this paint is super contaminated. So right here, we're going to be working on the quarter panel. Now, I'm going to be using this pinstripe that's on the vehicle already to just kind of show you guys what a decontaminated side looks like versus the contaminated side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our clay luber and we're going to go ahead and start spraying directly onto the surface. Now, whenever you're using your clay luber, don't be stingy with the lube, simply because this clay bar needs to glide over the paint, because you want to make sure that you don't mar the paint, because if you were to go ahead and do this in a dry rub, it's not going to be a pretty day for anyone. So whenever you start clay barring, you're going to notice a few things. One is going to be that it's going to feel like you're scratching the paint just because of how rough the clay bar glides onto the surface. Do not worry, you guys. That's actually a great thing. That just means that you're pulling off the embedded contaminants. So another thing that you'll realize is that all little small yellow and brown specks are going to start being erased very quickly, very easily. You're going to start noticing that they just start disappearing, and they're actually being sucked up by the clay bar. So they're being scooped out of your paint. That way it smoothens it out and it removes it. That way you don't have those contaminants sitting on your paint anymore. Now remember, don't be stingy with the lube. Some things that can happen if you don't use proper lubrication can be that you can mar the surface or you can potentially scratch the surface. In this case, with their clay luber, we've designed it to be extremely slick, so you shouldn't have any issues so as long as you keep the surface nice and coated. Another thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the pattern that I'm actually clay barring in. I'm not doing any kind of circular motions. I'm actually just going left and right, up and down. Crosshatch motion, never circular motion, because if you were to get any kind of rocks or any kind of debris caught into your clay bar and you're doing that swirl motion, well, guess what? You got swirl marks all over your ride. So don't do that, simply glide the clay bar left and right. Another thing is never apply heavy pressure onto the clay bar. You always want to make sure that you're just gliding the clay bar on the surface, because if you apply pressure, that could potentially mar the surface and you don't want that. Now, whenever I say marring the surface, what that usually looks like is a cloudy look on the paint. So you'll notice that if you apply too much pressure or not enough lubrication, you'll see the paint kind of cloudy. And then in order to remove that, you would have to either wax it or polish it, depending on how bad it is. Once you finish a certain section, all you have to do is grab a microfiber towel and buff off the remaining residue. And another way you'll know that you're done is not only because you'll see all the yellow and brown specks gone, but you'll also know when you're done clay barring, whenever you feel your paint, you shouldn't hear anything at all. It should just be very smooth, compared to the contaminated side over here, which sounds very rough, as you guys can hear right now. If your paint sounds like that, whether or not you have a light color and you can see those yellow and brown specks, if you can actually hear that on your paint right now, if you have a darker color like a black and you don't see those spots, you should still clay bar your vehicle, because you want to decontaminate it. And decontaminating your vehicle is going to help with the longevity of your paint. As you can imagine, all that rust, all those contamination that's sitting on the surface of your vehicle, what's going to happen over time is it's going to start etching into the clear coat to the point where it causes permanent damage, and that's also going to go ahead and fade your paint, make it look nasty, and it's also going to cause pitting on there, which is going to almost kind of look like acne in a sense. It's going to look very nasty on the vehicle. So in order to preserve your paint to the best of your potential, you always want to make sure to clay bar every so often. Not every week, not every month, whenever your paint needs it. So if you go ahead and feel your paint, it feels rough, go ahead and clay bar it. If you go 3 months washing your car on a weekly or bi-weekly basis and it still feels smooth, leave it as is and just go ahead and spray some spray wax on there, coat it with your favorite Chemicalguys wax, sealant, or glaze, and just carry on forward from there. But if it does feel rough and it does sound like this, then you need to go ahead and clay it. Some other ways that your paint can actually get contaminated is actually from overspray, especially if you have a neighbor that's painting their house, or maybe you have your vehicle parked near an automotive paint place. They can go ahead and get all that overspray onto your vehicle, and it can cause it to feel very raspy. Even if you don't see those little yellow and brown specks, you may sometimes see the color of the paint itself, depending on the color of your car. If it's white, obviously if the paint is black, you'll be able to see it. If the paint is white, your car is white, you probably won't be able to see it, but you can go ahead and still feel it. So clay barring can also work great in that sense to go ahead and remove that stuff. All right, guys, so now that we've done this small section, now we can continue with doing the rest of the vehicle. So we can go ahead and mimic the exact same process, kneading our clay bar to a fresh side every single panel. If you do drop your clay bar, toss it out, it's useless. Grab yourself a fresh chunk and don't scratch up your paint. All right, guys, so now that you're completely done decontaminating your paint with the clay bar, what do you do now? Well, the best thing that you can do is actually apply a protectant. This would be the best time to do so, simply because your paint is clean, it's decontaminated, there's nothing on the surface, and this would be the best time to apply a protectant, because it's going to bond the best to its capability. That way you get the best shine and you preserve your paint. That way you don't get all those little yellow and brown specks on it all over again. So today we're going to be utilizing something very simple but very effective, which is going to be our butter wet wax. Butter wet wax, if you guys have never used this before, super fun, super easy, high gloss shine, durable protection, and easy to use. This carnauba wax can be applied to paint, glass, chrome, headlights, wheels, and so much more. It provides a beautiful jaw-dropping carnauba glow to your vehicle, and it also provides it with a nice little slick layer of protection that's going to help water from sticking, and it also provides a nice durable layer of shine and protection for all the smooth glossy surfaces all around your vehicle. That way they're protected against the harsh UV rays and from contaminants from sticking onto the surface of your vehicle, like dust, dirt, grime, bird droppings, water spots, pollen, industrial fallout, and so much more. To use butter wet wax, it's extremely easy to use. All you have to do is open up the spout, grab a microfiber applicator, pour a few drops onto the applicator itself. I like to put about 5. Blot that out onto the surface that you're going to be applying it to, and then simply wipe in straight motions until you have a nice even coat all throughout the paint. Like I mentioned, you can apply it to the glass, apply it to your wheels, your headlights, your tail lights, and much more. And then for you guys out there wondering, what happens if the clay bar isn't picking up those small yellow and brown specks of contamination? Well, that's when you know that your contamination is much worse, and that's when you can go ahead and step it up with even a medium, or at worst case scenario, our heavy duty clay bar. Do you guys struggle with streaky glass? Well, one way you can go ahead and avoid that completely is by cleaning it. Now, cleaning your glass is going to help by removing all the embedded contaminants and any kind of films that are on the glass itself. So if you guys ever clean your glass and you look at it out in the sun and you have all kinds of streaks, then this is one great way you can go ahead and just remove that. By cleaning your glass, it removes any kind of embedded contamination that can cause the glare or any kind of streaks behind. That way you have fully prepped and decontaminated glass. That way you can apply a protectant like our HydroView ceramic glass coating and cleaner, or you can even apply your favorite chemicalguys glaze, sealant, or wax to the surface of your glass for added shine, clarity, and that way it sheds contaminants such as water, especially on your windshield. If you're driving out in the rain and inclement weather, you don't want the water to be streaking all over your glass and dragging around. What you want is the glass to be protected and have a protectant on there. That way the water just goes ahead and beads up, falls right off, or when you're driving at higher speeds, that water is going to beat up and just go ahead and fly off the top of your vehicle. So that's one of the main reasons why you want to clay bar your glass, to get it nice and smooth and nice and crystal clear. All right, guys, and that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a huge like, subscribe so that you don't miss out on our future videos. And if you guys want to pick up any of the products that we use in today's video, you can pick them up on our website, chemicalguys.com, or at your local Detail Garage store. My name is Joey. This is Chemical Guys Detail Garage. We'll see you next time.
Me.